Sorry, I just jumped into it because we're sitting here talking about it. But where coffee is grown, also the poorest countries in the world. On average, Nicaragua is the second poorest in the Americas. You probably already know that. But where coffee is consumed is entirely the developed world, and then some consumption in the countries. But it is very imbalanced in terms of it going to countries that do not grow. And I mention that because what happens is that for the last, and that's a colonial concept. I mean, coffee came here because of some French stole plants from the Dutch and then went through Cuba, came through the Americas, and coffee has always been a colonial crop in this regard. It's always been trying to fulfill the desires of other countries. But at the end of the day, it has a huge potential to A, be better quality across the board, and B, poverty. I'm saying this as an economist. I don't want to sound ridiculous, but coffee itself could eliminate a huge amount of poverty that you see in Nicaragua if we did it differently, which is why 11 years ago I left my job with the United Nations in Rome, where I was managing large multi-hundred-million-dollar projects in African development to do this, because I was telling the world to do this, and it's hard. So I was saying we need more grassroots growth, because I am from agriculture in the U.S. I'm a farm kid, and so I actually do know how development works in agriculturally, and it's not from money coming down, it's from people coming up, and Canada definitely knows how that goes. So the bottom line is that if you pay $15, just grab that number for a bag of coffee, let's call it a half a kilo, maybe a little less, maybe $1.50 of that goes to whatever country that may produce that coffee, and $13.50 goes to Canada.
Yeah.
And so my perspective as an agricultural economist is that is not sustainable, because no industry ever could survive on that proportion of the margin. And the only reason fair trade, not fair trade, whatever qualifier you want to put it, that you can, is because people are able to live at such a low level where the coffee's produced. And you just take out Nicaragua and put whatever country you want. If you put in African countries, generally it's the government that tells them where to sell. And so Nicaragua has a really interesting opportunity, because it is one of the most free market coffee markets in the world. It means, you know, Jose and he can make amazing coffee, and I can say, I want to buy it. He can say, well, you know, to make amazing coffee, it costs this much. And I'm like, okay. And I get Jose money. Those kind of interactions, which would seem really normal in developed world agriculture, is not how coffee works across the world. It sounds silly when I explain it like that, but that is exactly the change. And so what that means is that we can roast it, long story short, as my dad would say, is that when we roast it in country, we shift that number from $1.50 to, well, Canadian, like $10 per bag. Now we're talking about some change.
Game changer.
Fair trade is about 30 cents. So it'd be like $1.50 goes to $1.80, and that's it. And then maybe some charity project, but this is not just about money. It is about, people don't want to live on charity. I probably know one in this room. And so the idea is that it's not just that you create a pool of money. That's not what we're creating. We're creating, every single person in this room has a family and a job and is building their life and their homes and trying to do everything that you're doing, and that has not at all been an option, because those jobs don't even exist. So coffee, as much as we love coffee in the world, which is why I think it's so amazing and why you have so much opportunity as coffee consumers, it's just not doing any of that. But it, like one lever, which is what I'm arguing, is that if you just shift to the source, not only do I know where every grain of coffee came from, which nobody can say that really, it's very unusual, you can also create jobs. And then people can make their own choices rather than needing someone from another country to come and build their school. They can build their own dadgum school, as again my dad would say. So anyhow, that's the gist. You're sitting in a USDA certified organic production roastery. Roasting is actually super basic. It's just heat. So in contrast to a story you may have heard somewhere else in another country, the quality is 100% determined from the mountain to here when it's raw. And then roasting is just turning it into something that, figuring out what profiles and not screwing it up, as someone wise told me once. And so if you start with high quality ingredients, as with anything in life, and then take care of it, you get a very high quality. And so in our case, these are all primary defect-free, specialty grade 85 plus point coffees, not mixed in with other coffees that would lower the price, because that's how you get to $8 Canadian coffee in a grocery store. You're not dealing with specialty grade and all the blah, blah, blah. But all of that is really just so that you enjoy what's in your bag, and that then you continue to enjoy it and create all these jobs that you see around. So this is like the majority of the production team. There are other transporters, but then of course it goes beyond that into all the other people in the community that make business happen, just like in your community. And so anyhow, thank you very much.
Thank you.